Hello everyone, Fredericks2007 here. Welcome back to the Godzilla Millennium Review Series. Today's review is going to be the 5th Millennium Godzilla film that I will review, and we're almost close for Godzilla 2 King of the Monsters to come out in theaters this May 31st. And today's review is going to be like the following sequel of Godzilla x Mechagodzilla, which it is, of course, Godzilla Tokyo SOS. So, well, it was released in December of 2003, so in Japan, they titled it Godzilla x Mothra x Mechagodzilla Tokyo SOS, so that's pretty odd. So this movie appeared to be my most favorite Godzilla movie throughout the entire franchise, my most favorite Godzilla movie of all time, and I'm going to review it, so let's get on with it. So the movie begins with the Mothra fairies telling the humans, and one of the main human characters is basically the old scientist from the original 1961's Mothra. So I just have to remind you guys that I never seen the original Mothra film, so I'm gonna have to see it soon enough, maybe, so someday. So yeah, he's one of the returning characters. Just to remind you, this is like another following sequel, to the original Mothra film. So yeah, the human fairies, the twin fairies, is warning Mothra, telling them that they must return the original bones of Godzilla, or else Mothra will wage a war against humanity around the world. And the humans must obey the laws of nature to leave the dead in peace. So they are upset about they should return the bones back to the ocean where it belongs in its resting place. So yeah. So the humans told the fairies if they get rid of Mechagodzilla, there'll be nothing to defend themselves against with Godzilla himself. So the fairies told them that Mothra will be with the humans to protect them, to defeat Godzilla. So we all do know about Mothra as being like the weakling fighting Godzilla, because she always dies, so I'm going to tell you in a minute. Until later on in the movie, it starts with, the old scientist with, since the original Mothra film, and he has a nephew, which is a little kid, and even the little boy has an uncle, which is a nerdy teenager guy that works into the military base as a repair guy to repair things, so he's a mechanic. So yeah, he's pretty much like one of the only guys that just knows everything about Mechagodzilla in his work. So basically a lot of people just bullies him and everything in any ways. So anyways, yeah, the twin fairies told them they can put out a symbol around Japan, so Mothra will be there for them to protect them from Godzilla. So later on in the movie, when Godzilla will be returning soon, until Godzilla will have his revenge since the last film, since he got hit by Mechagodzilla with the ice cannon in the last film. So yeah, they are going to repair Mechagodzilla, and they are going to update a little bit more different than the last film. So they are going to replace the ice cannon with a laser cannon, which is pretty strange, I guess. So yeah, Mechagodzilla, this design looks pretty cool. I really like this design of Kiryu once again. He's pretty much almost the same like in the last film, but they update a little bit more differentized, because he basically doesn't have that blue jetpack anymore, Until later on in the movie, when the humans are evacuating Tokyo, and then until then Godzilla starts finally showing up, and he basically just killed a giant turtle kaiju, which is a cameo like in any film. I just don't know about the turtle kaiju, so I'm not going to show him. So yeah, Godzilla appears in Tokyo, so military is going to try to stop him, do the best. Until then, the human characters basically are warning them if they have to return the bones to the ocean back to its resting place. So try to tell them that Mothra will take care of them. Well, they're basically not going to believe it, so they're going to keep Mechagodzilla for a while. So until they set up a symbol around in school around Tokyo, until Mothra finally shows up. So Mothra shows up, Godzilla starts attacking, and he has that huge red scar on his chest from the last film. And Mothra and Godzilla appeared running into each other in the middle of Tokyo, and now they're starting to have a brawl. So pretty much Mothra is doing her best to get rid of Godzilla, and it was a pretty cool fight, and it gets a little boring and stale for a while. Mothra is just using her wing attack for a few minutes in, just doing that wing attack with that huge breezing air coming towards Godzilla, and it's not doing anything. until Mothra just sneaks up right behind him and then grabs his head and then just drags him and it just throws him through the roads of Tokyo, which is pretty cool. So pretty much, it's not going well with Mothra because she gets taken down pretty quickly. So Godzilla basically just tears off one of her legs. So that is pretty harsh, and then threw her to the building. To one of the buildings, which is one of the coolest things about this movie. There's lots of destruction in this film. So that's pretty cool. That's a plus. So yeah, there's lots of monster destruction around here, so Godzilla starts taking down Mothra pretty easily until Mothra tries to stop him, like using the sparkly yellow breeze around Godzilla until he starts trying to use his breath until it explodes right into his face because of this, it's all because of the yellow dust around Mothra is making with her wings, you know? So basically it just explodes, you know? And Mothra is trying to stop him, like, once again, like, she just keeps dodging his atomic breath, and it accidentally runs towards to the Tokyo Tower and explodes. So yeah, let me tell you something about Mothra here. Like, Mothra looks really good. Like, she basically looks like the character. She basically looks kind of accurate to the original Mothra films, like the original Showa Godzilla films, but a little updated more appropriately to make it look like a real moth, you know? So anyways, when Godzilla's taking down Mothra, so the military has nothing to do, so they have to send Mechagodzilla to save Mothra and help her out. So Mechagodzilla appears, and Godzilla's like, you again, you know? He's like, not you again. Until then, Mechagodzilla starts having a fight with him. And so the old scientist and his little nephew is getting away with the fight, and they almost got killed. So they're fine, and they got saved by their by the other kid, you know, the mechanic teenager nerdy guy. So they pretty much saved them. And so in the middle of the fight with Godzilla and Mechagodzilla, having the third rematch in the ending. Since the previous film, they fight twice, but now they're having their third rematch, Godzilla with Mechagodzilla. So yeah, Mechagodzilla has a few things in charge here. So he basically still has the cannons and the missiles shooting right at Godzilla. Until then, he just launches one of the cannon missiles right out of his back towards Godzilla, and Godzilla just grabs it, and then it just blows up right in front of him, which is pretty cool. Until then, Mechagodzilla tries to just takes him down in a few really cool moves, like just grab him and flip him over into the air, and then whack him with the tail to knock him over in the building. Like, basically it's really fun that Godzilla and Mechagodzilla are just pushing each other, like knocking themselves over in buildings. Like, it's just really fun to watch, you know? Really entertaining. Until then, Mothra tries to help out Mechagodzilla, but she just keeps on getting hurt by Godzilla. So until then, she just doing the screaming, paining for help until all the way to the Mothra Island, until the Mothra larvas hatch out of the egg. So yeah, the two Mothra larvas. The classic Mothra larva since the original Mothra vs. Godzilla film, as always. Until then, the Mothra larvas hatch out until they come to Tokyo to save their mother. Until then, later on, when Godzilla and Mechagodzilla is continuing on the fight, Godzilla is pretty much taking down Mechagodzilla pretty quick. Until then, Mechagodzilla needs to be repaired because one of his eyeballs are broken. So one of his eyes are just gone, like he's battle damaged. It's really cool. Until then, the mechanic nerdy guy just comes over and tries to repair Mechagodzilla and take control of him, you know? Until then, you know, until the other military dudes around in the jets try to control Mechagodzilla, but it doesn't end quite well until he gets beaten up by Godzilla. And pretty much Godzilla is pretty much try to take care of Mechagodzilla. Until then, the Mothra larva shows up to try to stop him. And pretty much, yeah, let me tell you something about the Mothra larvas. The Mothra larvas, they're trying to stop Godzilla, like taking one of them down until the larvas comes near to their mother. Until then, Mothra's really hurt. Until then, she sacrificed herself to save her children. So until then, Godzilla shoots its atomic breath at Mothra, and then she just explodes. So yeah, she basically killed off. Like almost in every Godzilla movie, Mothra dies. Like almost in every Godzilla film. Except the Heisei Godzilla vs. Mothra film, but whatever. Until then, the Mothra larvas are just really mad. Their eyes are just glowing red. So they really want to fight Godzilla, like beat him up to teach him a lesson. Until then, one of the larvas just grabs his tail and pretty much shoots webbing on him. Until then, Mechagodzilla is now fully repaired by the mechanic dude. Until then, Mechagodzilla does a second fight on Godzilla. Like, basically, Mechagodzilla's beating him up from just using a drill hand, and even using the laser cannon on him. And that's pretty much one of the flaws in this movie. Godzilla's just pretty much there, not much of a threat, because that's what he is. He's supposed to be the main villain in this movie, but he's not even much of a threat. He's just there to get his butt kicked by Mothra and Mechagodzilla. Like, he's just there to get beaten up by them, you know? He's just there. Like, that's one of the flaws I have in this movie. And it gets into the middle of the movie with the larvas and Mechagodzilla trying to stop Godzilla until the very end of the movie. Until there's, like, more destruction and monster brawls around Tokyo that they're causing. Like, Godzilla's really getting beaten up by Mechagodzilla and larvas, but my god, is it fun. It's just so fun to watch, you know? Until then, later on in the movie, when Godzilla and Mechagodzilla, like, totally just fighting each other, like, wrestling each other, just knocking themselves into the buildings. Until then, the nerdy guy is inside of Mechagodzilla, but the door wouldn't open, so he's basically pretty much trapped inside. So that's not good. So pretty much when he takes down Godzilla with his drill hand and his laser cannon, the Mothra larva's starting to web up Godzilla into a cocoon, like webbing him up with their web fluid, you know? Until then, he falls down into the webbing, like he pretty much knows he's gonna get defeated by them, so he pretty much just gives up fighting them. So until Mechagodzilla starts looking at him, until then, Mechagodzilla starts to control himself. Like, Mechagodzilla is now being the original Godzilla once again, but smarter. He's not being evil, not getting back into evil, but he knows he must return himself into the ocean with the other Godzilla. So pretty much, Mechagodzilla controls himself, moving on its own, until then he grabs Godzilla and just takes him with him, you know, to the ocean where they belong. So pretty much when Mechagodzilla tells the repair mechanic dude, like, telling him, "Thank you for returning me to the ocean." So yeah, that's pretty nice of the original Godzilla inside Mechagodzilla, like the bones. Pretty much when the bones are still alive, controlling inside of Mechagodzilla. Until then, Mechagodzilla just takes Godzilla all the way to the ocean, and then just be there in peace where they belong. Until then, the teenager guys being, like the mechanic, nerdy guy is just being saved by his buddies in the jet. So pretty much the guy just grabs him when he's just flew off in the air in the middle of the sky when Mechagodzilla was flying off to the air with Godzilla. Until then, they land into the boat inside of a lake. So yeah. So pretty much they're safe, and Mechagodzilla and Godzilla, like the original bones, are now into their resting place under the sea. So that's where they belong. Until then, the Mothra larvas are going back home. So yeah, that's pretty much like an ending of the movie. Like, the bones are now back into this resting place with the other Godzilla. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting ending, but pretty much most of the storylines could have been a lot better in the movie, in my opinion. So anyway, so that was Godzilla Tokyo SOS. Pretty much a really good following sequel to the last film, Godzilla x Mechagodzilla. Godzilla Tokyo SOS is one of my most favorite it's actually my most favorite Godzilla film throughout the entire series. I know it gets hated with some fans sometimes, because it's basically a standard box office Godzilla film, one of those standard Godzilla films, but it's a really good movie. So Tokyo SOS, I definitely recommend you guys checking it out as you can, just to see how fun a standard Godzilla movie can be. So yeah, Godzilla Tokyo SOS, I definitely recommend you checking this out. It was awesome. I definitely give it a solid 9 out of 10. So a really fun action flick of a Godzilla film, and it's a definitely recommend. So check it out while you still can. Again, right beside with Godzilla x Mechagodzilla. So yeah. So anyways, with Godzilla Tokyo SOS out of the way, next time we're going to be checking out the 6th final Millennium Godzilla film throughout the entire Millennium Saga. It is, of course, Godzilla Final Wars. So stay tuned for that review, and I'll see you guys then.